Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Here we go. Here we go. We're chilling. We are chilling, people. We are very, very much chilling, aren't we? I should post this for my homies in my server. Let me grab this share copy link. Anybody who wants to come chill with me can come chill. Alright, let's ooh, this is live. Baked beans, yo, how's it going, my guy? How is it going? This is live. You are absolutely correct. Can you let me know how the volume is for me and the music? Specifically, also, like, definitely the music. Because I'm not using Spotify. It's YouTube, so the volume might be a little bit too high. There are 6 of us in here now. 6 of us mighty viewers. Sounds fine. Perfecto. How's it going, Beans? You've been playtesting GD04? You've been chilling? You've been waiting like everybody else to start? Maybe drop it a tad. Okay, let's go here. Desktop audio. I wish there was a way to like capture the is it 2.3? Okay, how is that? Did it drop a tad or no? Or does this music suck? Should I go back to Taylor Swift? Because I kind of want to go back to Taylor Swift, I'm not going to lie. Kind of want to go back to Taylor Swift. I wonder if that even changed anything. It's fine. It's Whimsical Farm synth music. Yes. Okay. Alright, let's shut it down. Let's wait for some more people to join the chat. Whoever's in here, let me know what you guys want to talk about. Or throw any questions out there. I have my Starbucks next to me to drink. Tell you guys right now, GD04. Ugh. It is a struggle bus. It's gonna require a lot more testing, only because Oh, you taught me about Gundam. Oh my god. It's hiding the chat. I'll teach you about how to read audio levels later. Alright, Stella. I can like lower these things, but I don't know how loud. I really like I know my Spotify one is like perfect. But yeah. I'm hoping that reduced the sound, because I can't reduce the YouTube sound any lower because it is literally at 0. I use some aggro list. Purple, blue, purple. IPL will start to fall, and blue green brush is good, but people know how to combat it. I need a sauce like blue red special with BQ. Well, there is no real sauce with blue red BQ, but I'll talk about the main cards. Okay, there's like 3 main cards in GD04 that I'm looking at. It's like GD04 the meta. Okay, there's like 3 cards, and then that's like it. Everything else is like extra. There's 1 in red, there's 1 in white that everybody knows about, and there's 1 in what color? Red, white. I don't know what the hell the third one is. I forgot. There's a third card though. Oh yeah, in green. In green. Alright. Looks like we've got everybody who's gonna join earlier on in here. Anyways, Stella, what should I talk about today? Tell me what on earth we are chatting about. Okay, this music kind of sucks, guys. I'm going back to my freaking Spotify Taylor Swift shit because this shit is ass. And I refuse. I don't care about copyrights. I don't care about any of that shit. I care about that we listen to some chill music called Antihero on repeat for 50 years straight. Okay. That is what I care about. Okay, this is the only song I care about hearing in my ears. Only thing I care about is Academy. Alright. Oh my god, here we go. Let's talk about Academy again for the 3rd stream. I swear, every single stream, it's going to be like, hey guys, we're back and we're again talking about Academy. Because why would we not talk about Academy? Why would we not talk about Academy? Alright, we're back at Academy. This is where we left off. Unfortunately, I did not get to test this build, okay? Yo, Kodiak, how's it going, my guy? Kodiak is back. Kodiak is this close to getting some coaching. You have to fix levels in OBS. I was trying to fix levels, but that free to play songs sucks. Academy and Clan are the only decks that do interesting things in this game. Vulture and Ragon are also cool. The Demeanor squad is cool. But I guess they're like repeat. Academy and stuff is very cool. Listen, coach, you're a coach. This is Academy. Just makes sense, okay? True. This is my Academy. This is the Church of Coach. So this is where we were at with Academy last time. Now I understand looking at this, you're gonna be like, this is not Academy. This is some weird red deck that has Academy cards, and there's like only 3 of them. So, counter argument, I haven't watched those series. True. Thanks for the hearts. So yeah, basically our entire Academy plan failed, and the early Academy plan was to basically play we were trying to play Green Sleda and white Sleda. Okay, like everybody else. Then we lowered the white Sleda down. We lowered the white and the green Ellen down. And then what ended up happening was we were like, okay, can this work with the new white bounce card? And the ramp and the beatdown. Just like you normally would play Academy, just play a bunch of bodies, bounce your opponent with the new white card, and then hopefully you can get over them. And the answer was no. And the main answer why it was no was because aggro would kill you, number one. Number two, your cards like Lifrith and Gundwala do not work on your opponent's turn, and thus there is counterplay, and thus your Witch from Earth basically doesn't net you any value off Lifrith, and red decks and purple decks just ping Gundwala off, or even blocker decks or Amuro decks, because they're like, hey, if I swing now, he's going to attack into me in suicide. If I don't swing, I'm going to kill him later on with Amuro or a close combat or Kshatriya, and then I just sit there and cry about it, basically. So, yeah, that sucked. Now, I did end up getting to level 11 by like turn 5 or 6, which was cool. And all of the other Academy cards were not worth it. All of the Academy pilots basically don't do anything. The white Sleda does what she did always, which is get you a resource, which makes you play cards faster and run out of cards. And then basically like lose out. I almost wish that the green Sleda had the +2/+2. The green Sleda +2/+2 had the reset a resource, because if white Sleda had +2/+2 stats, that would make her so much better. I love it. And she does not. And then we are going to be basically ignoring all the pilots, because all of the pilots don't do anything. Okay, their abilities, if we look at the abilities of Academy pilots and we go to pilots right here, look at this. Ignoring the useless ones, right? There's only like these 4. Sleda gets your resource back. Does not progress the game state. Does not destroy your opponent in any way. Sleda does not progress the game state. Does not destroy your opponent in any way. Ellen, right? It does some weird jank, and it's cool with the Ferract. It keeps the Ferract alive, and again, does not destroy your opponent's game state in any way. And then Ellen over here, again, does not destroy opponent's game state anyway. So basically, these are not Kira Amuros, and these are not, well, Kira Amuro, or I don't know who else. Like, those are basically the only pilots. They do not give us extra draw power, like 4 or Zex or anything. So these pilots are like just help us gain extra resources, and that's not good enough. Ellen's sweet little Bichon smile and the shiny Soletas in my hand net me +5 joy inside. JK, joking mostly. That is true. I also am very happy when I'm playing with all of my alt art wing cards, and I open my hand, it's all shiny, and my Academy cards, and then I get to do the thing of like get an EX resource, do this one, and then I die because I realize that my opponent has like 6 dudes on the board. Yeah. Anyways, ignoring that whole thing. So these pilots don't do anything, so there's no reason for us to play these pilots. Like, Metacruise kills our opponent's units. Full Frontal is being played because these cards kill our opponent's units. The cards that these guys link with don't do anything. Ferract does not kill our opponent's units. It again just generates a resource. Ellen's unit, which is that, doesn't do anything. And then all these Sleda units link with cards that have literally no abilities, okay? We go to the rebuilds, and the rebuilds are literally, look at this shit. Rebuild does not do anything on attack or on destroy or anything. It's just on deploy, right? So it doesn't need a pilot. This aerial rebuild has high maneuver, and it gains the block keyword when you're paired, so it can be paired with any pilot. Does not need Sleda, and thus doesn't need a pilot basically dedicated to it. And if you want a blocker to be a blocker, you can just play the Freedom Freedom Gundam or any other like big blocker. And then we got rebuild. Oh wait, we need to go back here. We're sorry. We need to go back and go to anti-hero and put the shit on repeat and even increase it a little bit because I need to enjoy this. Okay, then we got rebuild. This card, we don't play any good command cards. Right, the only command card in the entire deck that we've been playing forever has been Show Resolve. So yeah, basically not played. Grabbing Striker Pack or something is also a card that we don't really need at all. So we're gonna ignore rebuild because then you need to like pair it, then you need Soletta probably, but you're probably dead. Ignoring this card. That's why it's $3 up here. See this $3 mark? It's because it's not very good. Yet, until we get a crazy command card. So we basically said, okay, screw all the pilots, they're all trash. And then forget all of the academy units because we're not trying to link them anyways. Because the pilots don't, linking doesn't do anything, so why play them? And then we said, okay, well, they're all useless. What is cool though, is that these 3 cards were the ones doing most of the work. And this card, not even for the draw power, right? The draw power is very nice when it came up, but this card was basically needed to be played because if you open one Gondwala, if you don't find a second one or you don't find this card, you basically are not going to get the extra EX resource. So now we have to play this and play this together because we need the extra Donafold keyword. And then after that, we are playing Gundam Ferrac to again get the EX resource immediately on top of this and this guy, right? And then if we have Ferrac on the board and a Gondwala and we swing the Gondwala into our opponent, we get 2 EX resources, which is super dope in one shot. So on level 6, we can actually go from level 6 all the way to level 8 in the same turn, which brings us to level 9, which is kind of nasty. Okay, so if you can do this, you will get straight to level 9 immediately, which is amazing. Okay, that's like you go to level 6 to level 9. Look at this. Boom, boom. Okay, so try and do that. So I was really happy with Ferrac and Gondwala. Like, these cards are really, really nice to play. I really enjoyed them. These cards are not cracked. They're not, like, insane, but they are nice. Let's read the chat. Just break your opponent when you cut their deck. That's a real skill. I completely agree. I'm definitely excited for something new to play. Merida alts are so expensive. LOL. Yes. Everything is very, very expensive. We got 17 viewers. Let's go. Looks like everybody's finally tuning in. Another live stream. Another Yap session. Okay. This is the red card that we need to talk about. Basically, what is Momo saying? But won't a 2/2 Winnie deck just stomp over this? No, because of this card right here. Okay. Gundam Exia. Because we play this card, we will not get stopped. Okay. Because when you deploy him, you pop your opponent's weenie. In practice, I'm gonna show you an example. I'm gonna show you an example right now on my stream. Let me increase this window to show you guys what I mean. Let me adjust the camera angle because it's literally not showing like everything perfectly. I don't know, whatever, I'm just gonna leave it. Okay, I've tried a League Maritime deck with Banshee on top and it tends to beat weenies. That's why we have XCA in close combat, yeah, and 60 base. I've tried a League Militaire deck with Banshee on top that tends to beat weenies. See, the problem I have with that is you said tens. I'll practice that deck later this week probably, now that I've done most of the testing that needs to be done, most importantly. But unfortunately, I don't think League Militaire is going to be like the best. But again, I haven't play tested it actually or gone deep into it. But yeah. Anyways, here's the example of why that card works, okay? Let me grab my deck of proxies that I'm using to show this example for you guys. So This is, where is it? Wrong deck. Grab this. Okay, so these cards. These are my proxies for that. ICF4, any Titans deck? No, sir, no Titans deck yet. This is just my proxy for Hero UE. I was playing with a full blocker deck, and I was proxying Freedom Gundam, and this is Hero UE and Gundam. And then the backwards card as 0, which I will be talking about this deck. This is Freedom Blockers with Wing on top. And that was what I was playing into aggro. When I start ranting about aggro, we'll be talking about this deck, okay? So if you guys want to hear that rant and my complaints and how those games went, stay tuned or ask questions, and yeah. So against an aggro deck, right, we are going to choose to go second, as we normally always do. Yes, tens does mean often. You are correct. Often. But that's my problem with it, is when we say often, it means tens implies 60% versus often implies more about 70%. I mean, either way, yes, you are correct. Different words, right? But my problem is that tens means how many reps do you have, basically, right? If in your practice it's beating aggro often or tends to, then that means, I don't know what the percentage is exactly, and then is it against a very good opponent or against a very good deck, and are you getting lucky, right? I always care about how did you end up winning the game. Was it based off luck? Was it your opponent being very slow? Because if you start counting the times that you win because you top deck the perfect card, or your opponent didn't get exactly what he needed for 2-3 turns, then it's really not a win. It's more like, I could have lost at any moment, but I didn't. And again, tens means that that number could easily be adjusted, and then we want to not just beat aggro consistently or 50-50, whatever. We want to build a deck that can beat aggro 100% of the time, pretty much. Just how aggro beats every deck in the game, like almost like, 90% of the time, whatever. You just sit down against aggro, you're like, oh my god, here we go. We're gonna get destroyed, or we're gonna get lucky, one or the other, and I don't want that luck factor at all. Anyways, so turn 1 we do nothing. Our opponent is on turn 2, he plays 2 units. I'm gonna put 2 Zakus here. Okay. Our opponent goes out, he's like, okay, I'm gonna drop Char Zaku 2 and GM, right? That's the main thing. And then we have an EX base right here. Then what happens is we go turn 2, we deploy with this 2-1 unit, we pop the Char Zaku 2 that gets extra AP, and now our opponent has no way of destroying our EX base. If they wanted to attack us, this guy will again trade, and we get to trade for 2 units, which is very good. If we have a second one of these, it makes it even better. If we don't, we can deploy a blocker or something, or have a close combat in our hand. Opponent is pretty good since his bronze Gundam was in the background. That's pretty good. If we are beating aggro, what is it, 60-40? Give me a number, Momo. Give me a number, and how many games did you play? Yeah, so pretty much that is how you were gonna put a stop to aggro in the early game, right? So this card right here, obviously not this exact card, but we'll go back to not showing the example and going back here. This Gundam Exia card is one of the best cards in the set, or the highlighted card for me, that all of my red decks are basically playing, and everybody who's playtesting this card probably immediately knows that, hey, this card is really, really good. This is our extra close combats. This is our close combat that is also going to stick on the board. And then Okay, of course people were complaining, oh, it's got 1 HP, it's got 1 HP, but guys, again, if I play this card and I kill something and this card then gets pinged out, it's the same as me playing a close combat going through the trash, and it's a 1-for-1 trade, okay, at the end of the... But if we play against like blue-green aggro where they don't have ping damage against standing units, then this card is going to kill 2 units a lot of the time. And unlike blockers, that you play a blocker and then it gets arrested and killed, this guy will kill an opponent's unit immediately on deploy, which makes it a lot more useful. And it also works against tokens and stuff. So yeah, this card is good. Let's go back to chat. Aggro is amazing. Yes, aggro is amazing. We got around 30ish games. He ran Blurple, both higher ends and lower end versions. I won 7 to 8 times from every set of 10. From every set of 10. We switched some cards in and out every 10 games. But really we're trying to break aggro since we're not fans of hyper aggro. We need builds. Make Academy great with Boss Monster and My Soul is Yours, Bandai. Making Academy grade boss monsters, yeah, it's gonna be hard. Maybe this will work. I haven't tested this yet, but Neo Zeong is a very, very powerful card. Obviously, if we can get there by turn 7, we can do a lot of work, especially if we're not already dead. So 30 games and he is not able to beat you 7 out of 10 times. That sounds crazy strong. So that sounds ridiculously strong that you have lost basically only like 4 or 5 games out of 30 games. That would be like a 90, what is that ratio? Like insane ratio of you winning like almost all your games. If that's the case, then that deck must be very powerful. I don't know if it's going to work against other decks besides Blurple, but yeah, if it beats Blurple, that's cool. I'm not even worried about Blurple next set, but I'll talk about that as well. Zeong, Cyclops. Yes, Zeong. The effect, I think I lost like 7-ish. Yeah, exactly. If you lost 7 out of 30 games, that is a very high... that's a pretty good win rate. Well, yeah, it's pretty good. So like, you know, we go here, it's 23 out of 30, right? 76% chance. 76% chance is pretty good. Obviously, because we're changing cards and stuff halfway through, but that's a very good win rate overall. So that is very, very good. Momo, what the fuck is our red blue deck all the way? Okay. Anyways, let's go back to Academy here. So Gundam Exia, excellent card. Definitely play it in all of your things. And I'm curious if it's a good idea. I'm really new to TCGs. Zeong Cyclops. I have a Cyclops deck right here, actually. I did not put Zeong into it. This card right here is god awful. I hate it. The FZ Zaku and Bernard. It's finally time for it to actually leave the deck because we all tried trolling with it for a while and it just doesn't work at all for the most part. And Cyclops team is a deck. It's not the best deck. It can do okay at your locals. It's gonna win a few games because it's aggro. It's a combo based deck, but we just don't have enough pieces for the combos to work continuously. It's also very hard to play. Yeah, it can be hard to play, and obviously like ping damage and red decks especially can put an end to it. Even blocker decks, if you just go very, very wide with blockers, you're going to struggle. And if you add the new Zeong into it, Zeong is, I'll talk about Zeong in a minute when I get to complaining about aggro. But Zeong is obviously very powerful. Anybody who knows card advantage will know that the card is like broken, for sure. So anyways, going back to Academy, Lift with it's just there for that. This card there for ping damage, Kshatriya, all the classic red burn stuff. And that's kind of how we're trying to beat aggro. We're trying to burn them down, hold the ground essentially. And if we play against a control deck like O or something, that's why the human karma is there, because the human karma is going to allow us to rest the Kshatriya and then ping something for 3 damage, which can be quite big. And especially when we have level 8 G-Quox, we have Neo Zeong and Sinanju's, right? If Sinanju's on the board, they play something big, we can high maneuver, ping it for 2, and then activate Human Karma down the line. If something survives, we can use Human Karma. If they have a blocker or something, we can use Human Karma. If we don't want to play a unit, like for example, we don't want to play 2 units that turn, we can play 1 unit, play Human Karma, and pop one of our opponent's like low cost units. So anyways, this is the Academy deck. There's not much else to say about this. The other variations of my Academy deck, either you guys have seen them in the previous streams or you guys have talked to me and seen me playtest it on webcam. So this is where I'm going to test with Academy next. But I'm going to, because Momo said that he's been having a good time with that blue League Militaire deck into blue purple, I will playtest that shortly, soon enough. Because in theory you get so much value by playing so many freaking tokens that, you know, the aggro decks are going to get chump blocked and destroyed because you're just generating a bunch of ping damage essentially. And if you combo that with red, right, then you're going to get even more burn damage, and then your aggro opponent basically can't do anything, especially if you turn all your tokens into blockers. Once they're all blockers, it's like, you know, you can keep generating free blockers almost as fast as, basically on the same speed as your opponent's aggro deck is generating extra cards, which is really good. Is that going to stop Wing Zero? Definitely not. Is blue-purple going to be a very strong deck next set? Yes. Is blue-purple going to be the best aggro deck to play next set? Maybe not. I haven't played into blue-purple because apparently no one's playing blue-purple right now in my pool of players to play against. And the online simulator still has not let us, like, is not allowing us to play with the new cards yet. So that's kind of super lame. And I hope they change that hopefully soon. Okay. Red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. Let's go back to Momo's thing. I've tried League Military with Banshee on top. That tends to beat weenies. Yes. So I still think in the game currently that red, white, you know, is red, white, or any sort of like super heavy burst deck, and also Kshatriya on top of that, and having the ability to interact with your opponent's board immediately, just like Gundam Exia, rather than playing a blocker and waiting around forever. That can get interacted with Fatal Strike or Amuro, and then you just die, is very good. I think red white is still very good, and it gives aggro a run for its money. Is League Militaire going to be better than a red white deck? You know, apparently with Momo's testing, it's doing extremely well into aggro. Is it going to be doing really, really well into the other decks? Like, again, playing League Militaire into a red deck, Kshatriya will probably ping all the tokens off all day, especially with white if they have even more token removal, which, as you guys know from my previous streams, I've been saying that tokens are a big problem in this next set, and people are going to be prepared, have to be prepared to deal with them consistently. Even with Academy, I would be slamming in, if I'm playing the White Academy, I would definitely be slamming in my Dara Balls back in like 4 copies of it, because it's going to be really important to bounce all the tokens. Which brings me to my next thing, okay? So the deck I've been playing right now just for testing purposes. Let me make it for you guys on stream right here because I already have most of it built. It's literally gonna be get rid of all this stuff, get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this, add 2 of these, and then let's put in hero, 4 copies, 4 copies, 4 copies. Let's go to Graceful, 4 copies. And we'll be talking about Graceful right here in a second. Darble mentioned Gwell, let's go. Yes, Gwell is awesome. In the show, at least. Until he gets another pilot card. What else is the deck missing? Launcher Strike. 4 copies of Launcher Strike. And then I'm missing a singular card. What could it be? Oh yeah, Sword Strike. Sword Strike. I've got 3 copies of that. I'm missing a singular card. I don't know what it is. Actually, I'm missing quite a bit of cards. Oh, because Michaelis is in here. That is not a card I'm playing. We have Kira, we got Hero, we need Kusanagi bases. 2 Kusanagis, and then we have 3 more cards. Those last 3 cards are... and I'm over by 1. I don't know what I'm over by, but let's put that at 3. Okay, this is the deck. Wait, can't. Kodiak says, can't wait for Bob Pilot card text. This card chooses Gwill. Yes, sir. Momo, maybe someday we get a Donna Fold version of Gwill for her short stint. Yo, any Academy support we get, I am very happy for it. I really want Academy to just actually be a tier 1 deck, and you know, we don't have to keep getting run over by aggro every single time. So this is the deck I was playtesting all day today. Okay, I started off by making it a white deck that ran some blue, and then that wasn't working, and then I basically ran some other cards in there that wasn't working as good as I liked, and then I basically had to adjust for Minerva Squad, and I said, okay, forget it, we are going to play Wing Gundam 0, Wing Gundam, and Hero Yui. Mostly because we want to play Wing Gundam to destroy the entire board, and Wing Gundam 0, Wing Gundam 0 to destroy the entire board, and Wing Gundam to apply a lot of pressure and breach 5 and make our opponents be very, very annoyed. So this is obviously the classic Freedom Blockers deck, except we took out the Freedom and we added in 4 Graceful Demeanor. And then this is like Zowert, but I just want to play this card to have, if I'm going first, I can play M1 Astray. It can attack our opponent, and I'll get into why and how this deck kind of came to being anyways. So when the set first came out, I was like, guys, a lot of these Wing Kira decks, okay, Kira is a beatdown character. His deck is a very beatdown focused, where he bounces you, swings, and bounces you some more. Right, and then he has blockers, and all of his units are pretty healthy. So I was like, okay, if we're trying to beat our opponent down, and the way that Kira and Ailstrike win games is by bouncing our opponent's card, right, gaining control of tempo, and then abusing the tempo to basically end the game, just like an aggro deck does, but like on turn 6 or turn 7, you're just dead. And that's pretty much how Ale Strike wins the game. That's why it's powerful, and a lot of wing players, when they beat other people, they get double Ale Strike linked, and the game kind of ends there. So if we add Graceful Demeanor into the deck, all we're doing is getting Ale Strike ability for 2 resources, just like Witch and the Bride, but this card can bounce 2 cards, which is insane. And it also has my favorite, text in the whole game, the ability to burst, which means if our opponent is a very aggressive deck, it can just burst and bounce 2 guys, save us 2 HP, bounce a bunch of tokens, and be very, very good. How would I build a red-green CB deck for GD04? I will show you guys in a second. Just stay tuned. I have it built. So this card right here. So basically all we're doing is, I'll tell you what the plan is with this deck. It's very obvious, very simple. It's the same thing that Ale Strike beat down. We go M1 Astray, then we deploy a Lifrit, then our opponent's like, oh, I can't attack you because you have a Lifrit and an M1 Astray. It's like, okay, cool. Then on the next turn we can go, hey, I'm going to deploy another Lifrit, and I'm going to play the bounce spell, which I proxy with Witch and the Bride, okay? So then we go, okay, I'm going to bounce both of your blockers, and then I'm going to start swinging at your shields, and you have nothing on the board, okay? And then they go, oh my god, you took out all my shields, you took out my board, I got to replay all my cards. And then you go, okay, you replayed your cards, now I'm going to go Ale Strike Link, or, Ale Strike Link, or a second Graceful Demeanor, bounce the cards back to your hand, and again take out 3 shields, and the game basically ends right then and there. Right? And then if you're playing all into those blocker mirror matches where you guys both are sitting around with a bunch of blockers on the board, a bunch of Ale Strikes, and enjoying life. These tall geeses are my Ale Strikes, right? All I gotta do now is play 2 Graceful Demeanors, bounce 4 of their blockers, and then swing with 6 of mine, and my opponent will basically lose the game on the spot. And that is basically how Graceful Demeanor works. So Graceful Demeanor in my head is turning our blocker decks into just aggro decks, right? It's called Blocker Beatdown, and it's Oops I Kill You, and now we're initiating that strategy. Of course, you can use Graceful Demeanor in a white aggro deck as well to say, hey, why do I need a Amuro or a Fatal Strike? Instead of playing a Fatal Strike to kill one of my opponent's blockers, I'm going to play this 1 card and get rid of 2 of them. And then I'll do a bunch of damage to my opponent. And then that will basically win me the game. Which is a great strategy. Especially on turn 5, if you go double Graceful Demeanor, bounce 4 guys, Armor Ray, tap 1 guy, swing 6, you're dead. Okay? So, Graceful Demeanor is basically going to be used for that, to get rid of any defenses your opponent has and win you the game. Also into aggro, it is extremely useful to slow aggro down, and it's even more useful to get rid of tokens. But we'll talk about the token problem in a second when I get to Zeong and how goddamn insane the value of that deck is. So Graceful Demeanor, is it a very good card? Yes. Is it a broken card? No. Because in playtesting, you play Graceful Demeanor, and it can get you the wins if you have bodies on the board. It can be bricky if your opponent doesn't have level 3 or lower units. And if you don't get enough of your own units on the board, then you don't have anything to swing with. And so you can't really end the game. But it is really powerful, and the thing that it came back to was, if this card is broken, if both players are playing this card, then they just nullify each other. And thus we go back to playing normal Gundam, where I got to bounce your guys, you can bounce my guys, and then we have to replay our guys, and we can't interact with each other anymore. And that's kind of it, okay? So this card cannot be broken. It is just a good card, just like Witch and the Bride was, but this thing is better because it targets 2 units and it's up to 2 units, not mandatory, and it has burst. I'm headed out, finish up work day, have a good stream. Thank you, Sella. I will see you around. Enjoy your day. So, not broken. Definitely play in your white decks 100%. Do you need to play 4 copies? That is up to you. I'm playing 4 copies of this in all of my decks. But as every single deck in the format kind of plays around it and changes, and as I do more testing, which I'm not going to get to do as much testing as I would like to in this set because everybody is busy with life, then I'm going to basically say that this card is not broken. This card is almost as useful as Fatal Strike, right? So Fatal Strike is a useful card overall, but not a broken card. And really, really helps aggro get through things. Graceful Demeanor is around that same level, where you might not want to play 4 copies, and it can't be a brick, and its a burst ability is what makes it really good. And sometimes you're not going to draw it, and sometimes you're going to draw way too many. With tokens being a problem, I feel like that purple CB card that instantly kills the level 1 or lower or 1 AP unit is pretty damn good. Okay, since you guys want to talk about the CB stuff, let me go pull that up. Let me save this. Let me go pull up the CB stuff, okay? Here's red green. So we have this kill aggro. We have this first strike draw cards with the pilot, right? Then we have the card you're talking about, which is it's not here because it's purple, right? Let me get out of here. Let me go grab the purple one. You're talking about GN armor type E. So this card is a solid card, and I'm playing it because tokens are a problem. In the games where you play against opponents that do not have tokens, that is where this card is just a vanilla and not excellent. So it's basically our tech card to deal with heavy token decks. Does it beat them? No. You still end up basically losing. And that's again gonna come up in my rant. This card was excellent that I increased it to 4. Because I was testing out the other CB base and I said, okay, I don't need the other CB base. This CB base is still excellent. And I'm going to play a 4th copy of this Thorn Ians. And basically this card is really, really good, especially when you play them back to back against aggro in particular. You can really just nuke their board over and over again, which is what you want to do. So purple red CB has play. The green red CB also has play, and I'm happy to see that we're getting more archetypes that actually you can actually play them. And obviously, as a Double O fans are wanting to play Gundam Exia Trans Am specifically, and I will tell you that you can actually play Gundam Exia Trans Am, and on turn 7 you will have enough resources in the trash to activate its 10 or more CB cards ability and start doing a lot of damage to your opponent and taking out their units. So that is cool. Okay, ignoring this deck, let's just show you the green red one that we were asking for. So this is how I would build it. I have not play tested the green red version yet. The red cards are pretty much always gonna stick because they're very good. The green version cards, I mean, we know the lock-on ones are nice. And if you want to know more about this deck in particular, go to my last stream and find where I started covering this deck in particular, or started building it actually, and I have a lot to say about it, and then you can figure it out from there, I guess. So you have to go check out my last stream so I don't repeat myself for half an hour on this stream, basically, because I'm quite tired, as I was supposed to be asleep 3 hours ago. But yeah, that's kind of it. We're also, just important note, this version of the deck is meant to be very unit heavy, and we're trying to win with a lot of units, and then make sure that we have CB cards always being hit by Hallelujah here. And that's kind of how this deck operates, okay? We're not playing a bunch of burst style decks. As you guys know, I play Burstyle a lot, so I don't need to go down that route to understand what 12 cards I'm going to put into the deck. 0 bases seems insane. Not really when you consider the fact that bases get one shot by aggro anyways, and if we need to add bases, we can simply add like 2 bases to the deck at any point we want. So it's very easy to put them in, so no point testing them. Into a blocker deck is not attacking you heavily or like in a couple turns and kills you, so we don't need to worry about that either. And then into like wing or purple or any other deck that is like beat down mid-rangey, they're again not killing us in a few turns, and we have many ways to deal with active units and also a lot of first strikes. And then anything like super low cheap cost, we have Exia to deal with that. And if we can get to level 6, which most people can get to, we can also deal with tokens or anybody trying to go wide with Gundam over here. Arlaventa, no worries, thank you. So going back to this deck right here that I was playtesting, and the rant is about to start against aggro. Oof. So I built this deck. The idea was play bodies and then bounce your opponent, swing at shields. Play bodies, bounce your opponent, swing at shields. Let them attack your shields because they might hit a Graceful Demeanor for us. They might hit a Kusanagi. They might give us pilots. And then we just keep bouncing over and over again. Okay, we just keep bouncing with Kira Ale Strikes. We keep bouncing with Sword Strikes. We keep bouncing with Kusanagis and Graceful Demeanor. And then the game basically ends. Against Minerva squad in particular, it was not working because they could keep resurrecting their 5/3 blocker over and over again. I would get them loaded about 2 shields left, but once they would recycle their blocker, their 5/3 blocker like 5 times, none of these guys can get over them. It's only my L-Strike stuff, and so I basically had to add in the Wing Gundam to at least have the ability to breach and deal damage, and Wing Gundam 0 to say, hey, when you deploy 2-3 blockers in a row, I can Wing 0, nuke your whole board, and that's the only way to get around my opponent having multiple 5/3 blockers. Also, anybody else going wide, including aggro. So again, just this deck clearly works since GD01 because it's a Kira blocker deck, and then just adds Wing on top, and it still works. So why not start from here? And all we do is we add 4 Graceful Demeanors instead of adding Short Resolves and Freedoms, and the deck worked perfectly fine. M1 Asterisk can be swapped out for whatever the hell you want. We can lower some of the ratios here, but end of the day, it's just play a bunch of bodies, bounce your opponent's bodies, swing at their shields, and then they basically die right after that with Ale Strike links and Wing Gundam links. So the problem with this deck though, like you would think that this deck is capable of beating aggro, and the entire idea obviously is to like, hey, let's play blockers. Right? Blockers beat aggro. Like bouncing cards with Graceful Demeanor is going to beat aggro because it slows them down. They get Wing 0 destroys aggro. Well, I playtested today a bunch, and this exact deck, and the problem I came to was aggro still annihilated me, and I was trying to hang on for dear life every single game, which is not where we want to be. We're trying to like, look at this. We have skewed our deck so heavily into beating aggro that all we're playing are cards that destroy aggro. That's all we're doing. Even if we increase the Sword Strike to 4, even if we increase Launcher Strike to 4, even if we add in like different bases or whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is, we have skewed our list all in to beat aggro, and we still cannot beat it. And the reason for that is if we go here to Zeong Rush. This is the original list. I need to get rid of this, but we need to talk about Zeong, okay? This card right here. I want you guys to understand that obviously everybody knows like how broken this card is. Like it's actually completely broken. We just had Corsica base limited, which helps a tiny bit and doesn't really help at the same time. But this card is literally insane because one of the ways that, you know, the 1 Year War or Zeong focus deck would lose to Blurple or it would lose to 1 Year War was because our opponent would outvalue us because they had ping damage to get rid of our tokens, which was how we would gain value, and they had like Gundam Amros, and eventually they would kind of just outvalue us. Even if, you know, they also had access to blue, so they would play their good blue bases and white base and stuff, and overall we would be down like 1 or 2 cards. We would give them a really good fight and win a few games, but overall they were still in favor because of all the ping damage that they had. Playing into purple, same thing. Purple would destroy us because of all the value they were generating, right? But Zeong, this card, number 1, you get a unit, okay? You get a unit on the board. Number 2, what happens is it deploys 2 extra units when it's paired, which is so stupid because we know the only other card in the game that is like broken, yeah, it's Fortress Defense, right? So we literally play a card, we pair it, which we're gonna do anyways because we're trying to like swing at our opponent, right? And then all of a sudden what happens is they get a Corsica activation and get themselves 2 units. So now they have 3 cards. Put it somewhere. I don't know. Put it on the table. Is it? Don't put it on the mat. Put it right there, Warhammer table. Or there. Okay, so this card generates you not just 1 unit, but 2 more units. And then when it dies, it generates you a 3rd unit, okay? Now, I don't know why on earth a card is getting you 4 cards in 1. Okay, now I understand you need to pair this, and it only pairs, or it only links with Char, but you can pair this with any new type pilot, which means that Amuro can go onto this, then Amuro can rest one of your opponent's unit, and then it generates you 2 extra units, and then when it dies, it generates you a 3rd unit, okay? So it's 2 cards for 4 cards. That is stupid, okay? Not only that, this Zeong unit will attack your opponent, and will either kill something, or it will destroy their base, and then again that's gonna gain us even more value. So basically this is stupid, okay? 2 card 4 is dumb. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's literally built into just like this one die. Like this one guy is all you need, and then a pilot, and you're good to go. Even if you don't have the pilot, this one guy dies and he still gets you the 3/1 token. Okay, the other problem with it is that, you know, people were like, oh man, they're changing tokens so they don't actually hit your opponent's shields. They're changing them so they come in rested. And it's like, no, this guy comes in, he gets paired, he gets you 2 active units. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but if you read this card, okay, I'm going to zoom it in and you guys probably know what this card does by now. But deploy 2 units, right? And it says 2/1. They're not even 1/1s, they're 2/1s. Which just means that it makes all your ping damage even better. It makes the damage these guys do even better. And they're not even 1/1s. Which is why I want to play in my deck a card called All Range Attack, because I want to kill all these guys. It's also why I want to play Kshatriyas. It's why I want to play all of these like different, you know, cards that basically can generate me a lot of value or free value by pinging off their tokens essentially. So how to pick up a card that fell on the ground. So this card is literally broken. It generates you so much value that it's insane, and I'm not a fan of this. Okay, I played against it this morning. A deck that is designed to beat aggro, like I was showing earlier, right? This white deck right here. This deck should destroy aggro, but it doesn't. Okay, this freaking deck should destroy aggro, and it doesn't. I literally played, and people were like, "Oh man, you got a little bit unlucky." It's like, bro, I literally played 2 Wing Zeros in the game. I played 2 Ale Strike links. I played a Sword Strike link on curve. I played multiple blockers, and I played 2 Graceful Demeanors, and I had 2 Striker packs come out of my shields, and I played a fucking Kusanagi base, and I still lost the game. I literally played my entire deck against an aggro deck, and the dude still had more cards than me. Like, it made no sense, okay? And it's like, I'm not playing bad. I'm doing everything I can, and then he still wins the game. It's ridiculous. So aggro is still broken as hell. And the other, so like, let's pretend, okay, we go back in time, we go back a little bit, and we say, hey, the number one problem of aggro, okay, in this game, is that they are getting to deploy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, they're deploying 6 units so goddamn fast that we can't keep up. Okay, like, they're just spamming weenies, right? So number one problem, they're spamming weenies. And our shields die to any damage that they take, right? So a 1-1 just takes out our shield. That's a problem. The other problem that people need to also realize, and I don't know why it's not really talked about as much, is why on earth, if I go here, back to my decks, okay? Actually, let me show you this first. This card does not generate value, does not generate value, does not generate value. None of these cards generate value for you at all. Nothing generates value, you know. Baseline, theoretically, is supposed to generate you value when you actually drop Plywing 0. Or you can bounce something that's a token. Or you're supposed to block and hopefully that gets you value, right? But outside of that, nothing here gets you value. And nothing lets you draw. Nothing does shit. And then you go to Zeong. And we look at the cards. And, I mean, these are not even all the cards being played in the deck. But we look at Sharzaku 2, +1 card. We look at Goof, +1 card. We look at freaking the Zeong card, right? We go to Zeong, +3 cards. Like, this thing just says +3. I don't understand. It's stupid, completely. So it's literally broken. For having a Corsica activation and then the second like fall mail activation afterwards, on top of a 4/3. So it's basically Corsica token, fall mail token, and then 2 Leo tokens that are actually 2/1s instead of 1/1s, right? So it's ludicrous. And then if you add in the Gundam armor link that rests something and then kills it and then repairs and stays alive, that's another huge amount of value. Then you can add on to that the fact that you can play normal Corsica base. You can play Fall Mail base if you wanted. You can play all these other stupid cards that make this deck ridiculous. Even playing Show Resolves if you want. Why does the aggro deck in Gundam have infinite cards? Okay? It's supposed to be the control decks that are trying to stall the game out and then win because it actually have more cards than you because they're playing Show Resolves. They're playing, like, Destroy the Whole Board. They're playing Psycho Gundams and cards that generate you value like Epion and Zex and stuff. And so they actually play cards that their ability is to literally draw extra cards, right? But the aggro decks have all the cards that say deploy an extra unit, draw an extra card, draw an extra card, draw an extra card. It's like, what the hell is happening? Why do they have all these cards? It just doesn't make sense. They even have cards like Gian that just say destroy an opponent's unit, right? Like, what is happening? The aggro decks have cards like Adept that say ping your opponent. It just doesn't make any sense at all. And I understand that in other Bandai games, yes, your hand is like 200 cards in Digimon and in One Piece or whatever, right? I mean, even the aggro decks should be running out of cards, but in Gundam, it's literally just straight up broken because every single card the aggro player plays is basically 2 cards, right? Outside of GMs. It's really brutal. And somebody's going to argue that, oh, a Lifith blocks a Zaku and then it can block a second time. It's not actually how it works in the game. You attack with the Zaku, they block with the Lifith, and then you go gun tank, and their Lifith's dead. Okay, so you literally just traded 1 for 1 and everything's fine. Or you play Mikazuki Link and you still kill their Rick Diaz or Lifith, whatever. Like, a Zaku 2 is effectively trading for anything in the game, right? It's ridiculous. So that is the other problem with aggro, and that problem is probably not going to go away unless Bandai literally comes out and says, hey, we are banning these cards or restricting them like crazy, or we are going to finally give like control decks the ability to play Regekis and Dark Holes and 4 costs, blow up the whole board. So the aggro player can't just drop their whole hand. And 1 card, like, we need Wing 0 on like turn 4, man. Like, when our opponent goes Armor Ray and they have 2 other GMs, we need to go Black Hole, kill everything. Then if they want to drop their whole hand, we go black hole, kill everything again. Like, I don't care. We need to trade 1 for 3s every single time and get +2 value like non-stop and stop ourselves from bleeding until we can get to our late game cards, just like every other trading card game effectively. Is that going to happen? Probably not. But that is like what's been happening in my testings. Okay, now whether I'm close to stabilizing, close to winning, whatever, it doesn't matter. What matters is, why am I like so desperate and I'm hanging on by a thread playing a maximized list to destroy the aggro decks, and I'm trying to defeat them on the board, in hand, shields, everything. It's like unbearable. Okay, it's like you're always on the back foot, and you're never off of your back foot until the game ends. It feels really bad because you never feel like you're in control of anything, and it doesn't matter what you do because the aggro player has all of the answers, and the aggro player is going to continuously generate more and more resources, right? You're like, your opponent has 1 card in hand, then you realize that they actually dropped 2 Sharzaku 2s, and if you wing 0 them now, they're going to draw 2 more cards and then draw for turn, and then they're going to drop 3 more bodies on the board. And if those are like goofs or a link that generates you again, you know, what's the card called? A Zeong link that generates you 2 more guys, you can't get rid of that board unless you drop another wing 0 and kill the Zeong, and then even if you kill it, they're going to drop another token that might win them the game, right? Or you're swinging your entire turn into that, and then you have to slowly go after their shields, which if they again play another goof on the next turn off a top deck, that's still 2 bodies or a Corsica base or whatever the hell. You can't clear everything. It's very, very hard, very difficult. And there's a reason why every single person who goes to tournaments and all the big regional events are always won by all of the aggro decks. They just have every single thing that is required in a card game to be good, and they have it all. They have removal, they have draw power, they have the aggressiveness, right? Closing games out very quickly, and then that's kind of it. Like, everything you need. Have a lot of draw power, have the ability to like interact with the opponent's board and ping things off and destroy them and whatever, and then like basically interaction. And then they also have spam the board with as many cards as possible as fast as you can to be as aggressive as possible and just cheese games. Like, you know, people keep saying like, your deck's not aggro, it's like mid-range, it's mid-range, it's like you're going to turn 9. It's like, guys, every deck in the game can go to turn 9. Okay, just you can play a deck of 50 GMs and you will still be able to play cards on turn 8 and turn 9, pretty much. Like, at least turn 8 for sure, because of how the game is basically built. Even if you play 2 cards a turn, you will still have basically 1 card to play on turn 8. Okay, it's ridiculous. Let's go back to chat. Love the builds. Do you feel your Minerva squad deck can compete with aggro? The Minerva squad deck that I have, can it compete? Right? That's, I mean, the word compete. Can we beat aggro and compete against it? Sure, but are we really competing? The answer is no. We're not actually competing. It's going to come down to how many of these do we draw? Do we get the perfect hand? Is everything super, super perfect? I will say that in testing, depending on which aggro variant you're playing, that you can at least stay above water for a little bit, but you still end up losing. Like, you do all you can, and then you end up losing. You might get a winner here or there, but you actually just end up losing because their main way to stabilize is to eventually play the Blast Impulse Gundam. If you armor array the Impulse Gundam or kill it somehow, improve technique, close combat, etc., they just lose because then all the attacks go through. If they don't see the Impulse Gundam in their trash, they cannot destroy your units. If they don't open a Gundam Exia, they have 0 ways of, you know, destroying your units early. And then if you have this guy as a blocker early on, he can block 1 swing, but again, your opponent can just go wide, play Gundam Amuro, pop him, and then take out a bunch of shields, and then you're kind of just sitting there. And we don't exactly drop a lot of units in 1 turn. Okay, the most we can drop is 2 guys on turn 4, and that's not enough because they don't really do anything. yeah, we cannot go as quick as aggro can, and we're just gonna lose almost every single time. But if you do face aggro, just like clan decks, you do have some chance. It's just not a good one. Fortress defense with Zeong token city. Zeong is going great in all my shard decks, 100%. It's going in. Zeong is so good that you can actually just straight up slide it into any green deck, and you don't even have to use Zeong as a early card, right? If you're playing aggro, you're gonna use it, but you can use Zeong just like people might use Corsica in the O decks. Just deploy Zeong once the game is stabilized, and then once you play Zeong, you say, hey man, I just linked to Zeong, I have 2 more units, and now I'm like going 4, 5, 6 wide, and you're gonna die. So you better have an answer for everything on my board, or I just gained a bunch of extra dudes to swing at your shields with. That which takes time to get rid of them, which is why you need ways to like literally board wipe tokens immediately. Okay, you have to kill the Zeong, and then you have to spend a card. And one thing to understand about this game is I have an all-range attack. If I play all-range attack to kill those tokens, my opponent has lost nothing because those tokens are not real cards. I have only played a card to -1 myself. The same way that your opponent plays Corsica base. Okay, they play a base, they get a token. The Corsica base is still there. In fact, they drew a card off of it. And then we bounced the token with our like Witch and the Bride or something, or Muga Flaga. So the token is gone, which helps not get aggro down. But we are down a card against our opponent. Our opponent has the card advantage now all of a sudden, which is not good. So if you do that multiple times in a game, you are going to lose because you do end up being 2 cards lower than your opponent. And as the aggro player, I'm going to keep drawing more and more card advantage through all the different type of cards that I play. So it's very difficult, which, you know, might mean that Perfect Strike goes up in value because it can pop something and be a blocker to gain value. It doesn't go straight to the trash, but command cards will be going to the trash, and that means you'll have less cards to deal with their actual physical cards, or the cards in their deck. Yeah, the tokens come in active. Yep, it's even more gross. Been trying to test a blue-white list using the new card Demeanor that doesn't have Amuro. Was also facing some of the problem with aggro matchup testing. Yeah, even if you play Amuro in the deck, in the blue-white deck, like I don't have it in my deck because I'm playing 0. But even if you decide to play Amuro in the deck, which I was doing, it was the same problem, right? The same problems you were having. It just doesn't matter. Even if you take the current, like people are going to the regionals this weekend, right? They're all going to the regionals this weekend. If you told them that, hey, this is the new card you're getting in GD04, go ahead and put this in your deck. A lot of those blocker decks look like this. Okay, and if you delete Wing Gundam and Wing Zero from the deck, you get rid of these cards. This is the makeup of the white decks. These are the cards that, not this one, but these are the cards that matter. Okay, right here. The white cards that generate you a bunch of blockers and more blockers and more blockers and more blockers. Nothing else matters, and if you put another card in here like Amuro Gundam, it still doesn't matter. The aggro deck will still kill you, and there's nothing you can do. Adding one more card to the deck that slows them down is going to help. And I haven't tested into Blurple with this deck yet too much. I think Blurple I'll have an easier time trying to defeat, but this is why I wanted to like highlight Zeong, right? Because Blurple is a more of this like ping control deck that is slower than blue-green aggro. Blue-green aggro is play a bunch of dudes, shard link, get more cards off the shards, or play Gundam Amuro, rest everything, and keep swinging shields, and then kind of win with high maneuver and a lot of aggression. While the ping deck is ping, 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 and then kill blockers, take good trades, go wide, and then I kill you eventually because you will run out of cards or run out of blockers, and that can do a bunch of damage to you all at once, and you're basically going to lose. And the only reason I believe that deck even is like, you know, it does better into the blue-green version is because it has a ping damage to destroy the tokens, and has higher HP bodies, which the blue-green deck does not. So that's why people favor playing blue, purple. White red. I have white red deck built as well. White red is again still gonna be my best thing. White red, red velvet cake right here, right? So I think with the including Gundam Exia in any red deck, this will be the first card you put into your red deck. This is going to stop aggro, and in practice games, this has done really well into purple. This has done well into Zeong. The games are close. This deck has beaten aggro as well, obviously being a red. Depending on how many bursts you can get and depending on shot field links and stuff, the deck does well, especially with Gundam Exia here. It actually really helps you try and negate them and put a stop to them. Especially if we add in a few more blockers. Once the blockers are in here, like I add in a few more blockers, check out Baby Kshatriya, add in another like the new Lifrith or something. This deck has probably so far my highest win rate into aggro in particular. So we do have a chance of beating aggro, but again, aggro will adapt. Obviously, I'm still like, what, 3 days into testing and not really testing too much because I've been busy coaching. And again, if you guys want coaching, just reach out to me at CoachWing0 on Discord, or drop a comment and I'll send you my thing. Yeah. So white red, don't forget Zeong's effect needs a new type pilot pair to trigger, so in an O deck it's even more gross. Yeah, Zeong is very, very powerful, and pick up your LR pluses of Zeong when it gets announced and stuff as well. Is really good. Trading Galaxy Singapore Carapace for Garma. I don't know what that means. This is a bot. I guess I just like delete this person. Hide user this channel. Okay. There we go. Okay, anybody have... Oh, I think we have bot, yes. Anybody have any questions or anything that they want me to talk about and chat about or go a little bit more in depth about? Obviously, with Gundam, guys, we haven't exactly gotten a billion cards to add to our decks. It's very much been like we add one card or we add two cards. Like every single color got like one generic card, like Exia or the Graceful card, right? We haven't gotten, we're gonna add 5 new cards to the deck, which does suck, unfortunately. Which I'm hoping that the star decks coming out after GD05 will really help out with. There's a little glimmer of hope as we are getting closer and closer to making sure that all the decks in the game are a lot more viable and can have a stronger chance to beating aggro, whether it's 10% or 20%, and having play into every deck at the same time. That the SD Gundam set is coming out. I don't know if the SD Gundam set's going to be very, very good. But I do know that there's going to be a lot of, you know, Gundams like Freedom Gundam, Wing Gundam, and all these things in there. So SD Gundam versions might give us that extra LR or 2 LRs that we need to make a lot of our decks be stronger. And then they'll probably have unique effects, I assume, and new game mechanics or something that will elevate, you know, Gundam in the right way. So that is something that I still think we should look forward to and figure out and not just be disappointed with everything. I've been trying to build unicorn blockers based on suggestions of some buddies and just struggling to think my brain is a little fried on deck building lately. Unicorn blockers, I mean, It's just freedom blockers with unicorn. It's not. It's gonna be fine. The Black Abyss 25. I'm new to the game. Built a few different decks between me and my friend. I just keep getting shafted by my opening hands one way or another. Is this a common thing or am I just unlucky? This is a common thing. I'm going to explain it to you right now. Are you ready for this amazing explanation of how stupid Gundam is in deck building? And I'll bring up the stupid white deck that we all love. Okay, here it is. This is the deck. Okay. Where's my epic pen? Look at this. Look how stupid Gundam is. This game is so stupid. So, our early game consists of these 8 cards. Okay, we are going to ignore this Astray because Astray could just be other cards. Okay, we're going to ignore that because nobody plays that card, really. And then I'm going to move this over. So, Gundam, our early game drops are these cards. Now, let's pretend that we're going to go first, okay? When we go first, we cannot play anything on turn 1. 0 cards. On turn 2, we again cannot play anything that is a unit that will help us. 0 cards. Okay? Now, I want you to understand that this might not be the meta, but there are decks you can build that play 1-drop, level 1 1-drops. If you really wanted to, as an aggro deck, because we're not an aggro deck, so we don't want to play these cards. You can play 1/1s, and you can play 1 card, 1 turn 1. In fact, your opponent goes second, right? So he drops 1 card. Let me erase this and write it up here in red. Your opponent drops 1 unit on turn 1. Then your opponent drops 2 units on turn 2. Okay, and he has an EX resource, so he can grab a one extra unit any point he wants here. Then we go to turn 3. Okay, turn 3 comes around, and we finally get to deploy this level 3 2 cost. We have 1 unit on the board. On their turn 3, guess what happens? They can deploy 3 units. This is the issue with the game. Why does my opponent have 6 units on the board? And I have 1 unit. Who the hell designed this game? How is this fair? How is this fair? That I have 1 unit on the board and my opponent has 6. If he wishes to. Okay? This is stupid. And then you're gonna die after that point. Okay? You're basically dead. The next thing you need to understand is that we look at these cards right here. And if this is our early game, if we say that this is our early game, these are the cards that we want to mulligan for. We need these cards early as possible, or we're basically going to lose against aggro. Well, each of our, we have a 50 card deck. Each card is worth 2% of our deck. So we have 8 cards. 8 times 2 is 16% of our deck. Only 16% of our deck is playable in the early game. Okay? We're going to ignore overflowing. We're going to ignore any random ass bases that we might run in a white deck. We have 16% of our deck is actually early. So that means that the entire rest of your deck, which is what, 84% of your deck, are bricks. Okay? 84% of your deck is dog shit. So this is why it is not you getting unlucky. You are actually building your deck with 84% of your cards being unplayable for the first 2 turns. And then if you don't draw one of these, you are actually screwed for like 3 or more turns and you're just going to lose. Okay? So it's not you being unlucky, it's your deck design and the game, and there's also why aggro is so consistent and does not get messed over because they are playing, I don't know, like a ridiculous amount of 1-drops. Okay, they're playing 12 GMs and then a couple Rizels. Like, let's say they're playing like, 6 Rizels or something, or first forms. If you include first forms in here, it's even more. They're including like, I don't know, let's just say that it's another like 3 at least. Okay, 9, 21. Okay, that's 42% of their deck is early game cards. It's really, really high. I'm wondering if the starter deck, or if the SD set will be an SD faction or just regular card with SD art. The project mentioned that there are pilots too, so hopefully it's all generic cards. So, one thing I know about the SD set is that the cards are going to be designed, or the set and the design space of SD is pushed towards multiplayer play, which tells me that the cards in the SD set are not alternate arts of regular cards, because they would just print alt arts. They wouldn't make a whole set and make all the cards worth $0. There are going to be actual cards with alternate abilities, probably more unique to SD types, and they're going to be stronger in multiplayer. Okay, that is what I know, that the SD set is based around multiplayer play, more importantly. I was wondering if you could talk about figuring out ratios for cards. I remember you talked about it once on One Punch, and I wondered if you had more to say about it. Kodiak, I have a whole hour and a half or 2 hours ratio deck building course. Essentially, it's a formula. It's not even a course, it's a whole formula that I coach. So if you want to learn more about my ratios for literally a whole hour and understand all of it, you'll have to reach out for coaching, as I cannot give up my formula of how to make nukes for free. Otherwise, the entire world will start making nukes, and then we'll have a war about who has more nukes than the other person. So I don't want... That is not like... that's something that only I understand how to do, and people who pay me to learn about ratios and my formula, right? Pepsi does not give out its deck building formula for free. Nobody knows how to make like Pepsi, Coke, all that stuff, basically. So same thing like that. My deck formula is definitely a secret thing that I coach to my clients so that they can learn, and then they don't need to ask me or ask other people about how many cards they should run and how to figure that out. It's a formula that I came up with when I was 6 years old, and I've been using it ever since for all card games. It's like a golden formula. Stella told me that, other things in art and stuff, it's called the golden formula. So I have a golden formula for TCGs. And if a company like Bandai asked me for it and asked how much I will charge to sell them this formula so they can also charge other people to buy it from them, it would be $200 million. That's my price. Which you can get for like a lot less, but yeah. So you're showing the lead designer of this game. What do you do to rein in aggro without sending the game back into blocker exclusive meta? So Laventa, if the meta ever becomes playing a bunch of blockers, many decks in the game can fight blockers. When you play Minerva Squad, Zaft, Wing, Vagan, whatever it is, you have play into blockers. You can even play Lupus carry and not aggro, right? Every single non-aggro deck can play into blockers and has ways to kill it. Has Fatal Strikes, ways to destroy blockers, ways to get around blockers, high maneuver, breach, ping damage, so be it. So blockers are not a problem because they are weak in stats, right? These cards are weak in stats, And even these cards can be relatively weak in stats, that they're not going to be able to overcome something like a Wing Gundam, Ultron, Shenlong. And there's single cards that can destroy these immediately, or red cards can immediately burn them to the ground. And they don't have a lot of offensive capability where they cannot destroy your opponent's shields in one shot, and cost more than the aggro cards. So the aggro player can deploy like 4 units on turn 4. The blocker deck can only deploy 2 units on turn 4, so it's not going to go crazy. So if I was the lead designer of the game, I'm going to give a shout out to, I'm actually going to drop it in the channel if you guys want to see. I'm going to give a shout out to Talking Cards with Garrett right now. Okay. Right here. I believe this is the video. This has to be the video. I'm going to link it in the chat. Let me send it to Echo, and then I'll copy paste it into my YouTube app. Nonsense. Copy link. Delete. Okay, so 100% go check out his channel. Okay, and then leave a comment on his video telling him what you guys think about me being a crazy person and how you guys hate me, and also let him know what you guys think about his video and how lovely he is. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is, I said when they were making a ban list and all these restriction stuff, I said banning Gundam and banning Amuro is not going to do anything. Okay? It's not going to change a lot. I mean, it would change stuff, but it's not the problem. Gundam Amuro is not the problem. What is the problem is the amount of GMs on the board when Gundam Amuro is deployed. Because Gundam Amuro, all it does is allow your little tiny guys to get around the blockers and take out a bunch of your opponent's shields, or increase their AP so they can basically take out Rick Diaz's and other things. So I do not want in this game for us to be able to play cards in the same deck like GMs and all these different cards, right? So if I am playing where's level? Let me go to units. Let me go to yeah, level is fine. Okay, so if I have a Pisces in my deck, I cannot have Gen in my deck. Okay, this guy. This is exactly the same card in 2 different colors. You cannot have this in your deck. So with GMs in the deck, okay, I do not want people to include a Zaku 2 and then also include a Zaku Mariner, or include, you know, where the hell are all the GMs? Where did they go? Why can I not find them? What the hell? Guys, am I blind, or like are they just missing? Because it looks like they're just missing. But anyways, you guys get the point. We do not want our decks to be filled with the exact same card in the deck. This also includes cards like Cancer 2/3, Gog 2/3. It's the exact same card. We cannot play both of these. We must choose one or the other. We cannot play cards like Mobius, which is a 1/1 blocker. We cannot then also play a Tragos, which is also a 1/1 blocker. It's the exact same card, just a different artwork, different picture. Okay? Cards like Schoolgirl and the Smuggler, we can play with Tactical Visionary because these are not the same card. These have 2 unique abilities, work in 2 different decks. They are unique. Okay? That is the #1 change I would implement, because like we're seeing now with the new cards coming out, you can now have 4 Lifriths, right? If I go down to Lifrith, very soon we are going to start to see that we can start playing 4 Lifriths, if you guys don't know. So there's one right here, and then the other one is GD04 white, which I don't know where that card is, but it is a white card. Probably scroll up, and it should be right here. Look at this. Low 3/2 cost, blocker 2/4. So my #1 change as a game designer is that we are not allowed to play Lifrith and flat or fiat, flat, whatever, in the same deck, okay? Gonna have to leave for food and later for work. Good luck for the rest of the stream, my guy. And yes, hard caps and certain stat lines would be nice. I agree. Okay, so that is the #1 change I would do. Immediately, I'll be like, hey, you are not allowed to play this shit anymore. Okay, you cannot spam 8 copies of Zaku 2. If you want to play, right, if you want to play the Zaku, and then you also want to play the Zaku 1, right, you can do that. Okay, because this card is significantly weaker when you actually play with it than the Zaku 2. And in GD01, I mean, I played a deck, other people played decks, where we actually played Zaku 1 in the deck with ways to increase his AP turn 1, and we played cards like Dob. Well, the problem with these cards is, well, these cards cannot destroy shields as easily. They cannot do a lot of damage to blockers. They cannot trade into half the things. They also cannot be increased in AP to actually trade with the Rick Diaz's. So after the early point in the game, they're just basically useless. And on top of this, cards like Dop basically get pinged off and die from many different ways. From blue, from purple, obviously. And then there's new cards in purple that also, like, you know, deploy, destroy a unit that's level 1 or has 1 AP can do it. So we can deal with these cards very easily in multiple decks. Even red can kill these with all range attacks. You can't just deploy 4 Dops, pass the turn, because your opponent will play 1 Kshatriya all range and basically destroy all of them. This is why people stop playing these type of aggro decks, because they just couldn't hang and didn't have enough damage. So I don't really have a problem with this, okay? You can build an aggro deck like this. You've been able to. Not really a big deal. So this card cannot be GM. This card cannot be some other, you know, level 1/2 cost. And then gun tank. You know, if we're doing this, again, gun tank, its ability is strong, right? Which is why people play it. People do not play this card because it's a 1/2. Yes, it's a 1-drop. Yes, you can spam it onto the board, but we cannot limit our players from playing as many different 1-drops as possible. If they want to play an entire deck of 1-drops, they can do so, but 1-drops should be this weak, and in most games they should probably have 2 AP, 1 defense, or be a 1/1 like Dob. In this game in particular, Zaku 2 is a overstated card and is too strong and does everything essentially. And this is the same reason why level 6 units in the game are also very, very fragile. Okay, because if we go to units and we go to level 6s, filters, where's the level system? Traits, links, cost, 6. Okay, we look at level 6s. That's the cost, actually. I want to not cost. Unit, filters, where's level 6? And cost, NA. Where is the button to go back? There it is. Oh my god. Okay, so if you go to level 6 units here, which we're getting close to, you're gonna start to see a big problem. Level 6, 5-5, with the pilot has 6 HP. Banshee mode with the pilot has 6 HP. Death Sight has 6 HP. Rebuild has 6 HP. Gundam 6 HP. Elmith 5 HP. Zeta Gundam 6 HP. 4 HP, 6 with the pilot. Everything is capped at 6 except for G-Fred, which is at 7. Okay, I don't understand why level 6 units are being killed by level 4 links or by level 3 cards. It doesn't really make sense to me at all, period. And that is a big problem with Gundam, is that the level does not matter until you get to the higher levels. Something that has the level 6 is being killed by level 4s. I don't know why level, like a level 5 and level 6 should have a significant difference. And if they're similar in a way in stats, and then have level 6 as a better ability, that's fine. All these level 6 cards have very powerful abilities and are actually very unique, which I enjoy them for. But the problem with them is that their stats are so bad. For basically one more level, you're paying for a very good ability, but you have no stats, and this whole game is based off stats. If you just wanted to get the stats of this card, you could literally pay like 3 cost. Okay, it's very easy to get the stats, and then it's a lot easier to get the extra AP on a lot of units, because there's a lot of cards that give you, like, you know, more AP than defense and so on. So I think defense is a premium, or HP is a premium, because if you have more HP, it allows you to stick around and take out multiple cards. It makes it a lot harder for opponent to destroy you. So this is the same problem as the GMs. The GMs are too strong, and then these guys are too weak. And then when we get to level 7 and 8, we don't have those like level 10 units yet in the game. And level 9, we barely have level 9 to look at. We only really have one actual level 9, which is Neo Zeong, because the Z Gundam card is not a true level 9 unit. It's a level 6 unit, which they then decided to turn into level 9 because its ability was going to reduce its cost. And then when you do play it on turn 6, it's statted and equipped to be, like, ability wise and everything, to be level 6. It's basically a very not good card. It's an okay solid card, but not very good until they give us more reasons to play level 9 units, or some different mafty things to interact with cost reduction and so on. Okay, so that's, as a game designer, I'm going to fix that problem. I would say that level 6 units are going to come out and be stronger. Wing Gundam, for example, the only reason Wing Gundam can hang around is because it's a 7-7. If Wing Gundam was a 6-6, just like every single other level 6 card, then it would be basically not as good as it is. It would be a lot easier to kill, and it would die way faster, and it could not take out bigger units. But because it's a 7-7, it can pretty much take out everything in the game and survive pretty much everything in the game. I think that could create some interesting design space for cards that interact with specific colors, like card projection for other units in a particular color. You know, they're gonna add a lot of cards and a lot of different mechanics to the game over time, and we're gonna have to wait for that to appear. But obviously, we all want cards to come up with cards that say, like, when you trash me from the top of your deck, special summon me. When you discard me from your hand, special summon me, or do something, right? And they don't want us to have that yet, so Bandai's very slow and spoon feeding us basically very, very shit vanilla cards until they decide to level up. Alex, how do you feel about white Banshee and stuff? I don't like that card. I did cover it, I think, 2 streams ago or last stream. I don't really care about the white Banshee card. and I guess I'll tell you why. I have not playtested it, but I don't really need to playtest it because, you know, I can play games in my head like I would play a chess game or something. And it's gonna go that way. Let me go to is it at the top? Yeah, it's at the top. Okay. This guy, right? So the problem with this guy is obviously you're gonna play white blue. That's number one, which is, you know, it's fine. It's a good color combination. Some of the strongest. Level 7 cost, fine, right? It's not level 8, thank God. It's only a 5 cost, which is great. Level 7 5 cost is like basically all you can hope for, and it's strong. 5/5 stat line, great, very passable for a level 7. It's pretty much on par with all the other level 7s. Now, its ability, okay, its ability to reset itself. Cool. It can reset itself and attack into something else. Its attack ability to give everything -1. The problem with this card, in my mind, is I want you to envision the board. Okay, if you can look at the bottom right corner of the screen where my camera is, the board against blockers is I play a Lifrith. I have a Lifrith. And then we have this proxy Ailstrike 4/4. And then we have, you know, whatever else we want. Doesn't really matter. It can just be like nothing else, right? We have these 3 blockers on the board. Now, if you attack with a unicorn and you want to give everything -1, and then you cannot even attack a second time because it cannot attack into my shields, then all of a sudden it's only given all these -1. I still have AP to block something. On top of this, let's say you do attack into something else and you kill it. I say, okay, that's fine. Everything gets -2 AP now because you did its ability. The problem is, what is killing my guys that you're giving me -2 AP? Right? Even if you want to swing into me with other cards, and I can either block you, deal 0 damage back, block you if I need to protect my own HP, or if we're both playing blue-white, right? We've gotten to the point where I can just take a bunch of hits to my shields, and then on the next turn I can link something and just go after your Banshee Moon and kill it. And anything in the game, outside of like the level 8 very powerful links, as soon as you swing a unit, it's going to basically die the next turn from a link. Okay, so it basically makes all of your links extremely vulnerable. And the only 2 links in the game that are like very powerful because they stick around a lot more is basically level 5 unicorn, because it becomes so strong so early into the game that your opponent really doesn't have any way to deal with it. And then Wing Gundam, because Wing Gundam is a 7/7, so it's got the level 8 stat line basically at level 6, which is quite powerful. Because it comes out earlier. This guy will get killed by anything that your opponent throws at it. And it's not changing the game. It's not a Wing 0. It's not a Freedom that has multiple effects to give -2 something over and over again. And it's not a giant blocker. It's not the O that is a permanent rest everything and kill everything. It just gives them -AP, which is not too important overall. And then obviously his pilot, you know, reducing incoming burn damage. Again, it's not really relevant because if you don't play into a burn deck, it's not going to do anything. If you play into a burn deck, it's going to do something, but those Kshatriyas are just going to swing into you and destroy you. And G-Quarks is going to come down and still destroy you. And you're only reducing damage of the burn damage onto 1 unit, which is the Banshee mode. They can still ping the rest of your board off. And the other thing you want to know about Gundam... is that unless you're playing against a very heavy blocker deck, or you're playing against an aggro deck that has gone extremely wide, normally in a game of Gundam, you're trading your units back and forth against each other. Nobody has units on the board. Units generally do not stick around for more than 1 turn. When you deploy something, the second that they are rested, your opponent basically trades into them, or ignores, like they can ignore them, but basically that unit dies. Okay, your opponent's you're gonna attack them, they're gonna go, okay, link, kill this unit, or tap my own guy, attack your unit, and get rid of it. So your units, when they become tapped, they get picked up. And over the course of the game, your blockers are going to die, everything's going to die. You don't exactly have a lot of units on the board where they're going to basically protect Unicorn, or you're going to get a crazy amount of value off Unicorn. Also, when you attack your opponent's again not going to have a lot of units on the board. So this thing is basically only reducing one guy by 2 AP, which if you really wanted to, you already have Kira who does that. You can find other ways of doing that with unforeseens. You can also just trade with them or play a bigger body and not have to worry about it. So I'm not a huge fan of this card at all. I don't really care about it. I don't really care about his pilot. It'll be nice when it's nice, but it's not going to be like game breaking, right? If something is not game breaking, then I don't really care. It's fine. You want to run it, go ahead. Is it going to be very good? Go playtest it and figure it out. If it starts to suck, then it's not very good. Don't get overhyped about a lot of cards. You need to first say, can it interact with a game of Gundam? How realistic is this ability to be like crazy impactful or not? If this was like Digimon, where if you can reduce your opponent's AP, right, or something down to 0 and they just die, then this card would be good, but it's not. And again, if you're playing a very heavy blocker deck to stay alive against aggro, like Kira blockers, you're not going to have that many blue cards in your trash. And if you are playing show resolves and stuff to get blue cards in your trash, you're not going to get to activate this ability probably more than once a game. So you do it once a game, you get the -2 AP off, and then it's going to die. And if you want to just attack, -AP, restand, don't attack with him, it doesn't matter. Like, -1 AP is not very good. Delta Link is quite annoying to deal with. It might be annoying, but overall, like, you have 6-7 shields. It's not going to be a big deal. I'll gladly take one more hit, just like a Gundam. A Gundam Link is annoying to kill sometimes, but it's not game breaking. You can take a hit for one more turn and then deal with it the following turn. It's totally fine. I'd like to see some more versatility in pilots, like giving each a pair and link effect, so you really have to decide where and what units to use it with. I agree. It will be nice for us to start getting more on pair and link effects that can work in multiple archetypes, along with a huge variety of staple cards that are generic cards that can work in any color, and we stop getting stupid cards that are not viable unless you're playing them inside of like Academy, or you're playing them inside of your own deck, basically, that they belong in. And like, you know, we have some commands. Red ones have the best, pretty much. So once green gets a lot more command cards, it's going to make green a lot more viable, because right now all they have is a ramp, which only really works for themselves, and the strategy, and then attacking standing units. But the thing about attacking standing units is you play the command card, it goes to the trash, you lose a card, right? Because the command card is gone. You attack your opponent, they lose a card, but it basically makes your attacking standing unit command cards act as a fatal strike or a kill spell, and it's not exactly very good unless you're trying to breach into your opponent and control the board. But overall, you're again losing cards, which is why you rather play a unit that allows you to attack standing units. I can see the O synergy where you attack, rest, Yeah, so Epion already has that built into him. And then obviously this new Norn can do it, but you really do not need to do it, because you would need this unicorn mode on the board and then play the Paptimus Link so you can target it and then rest 2 units, right? That is not going to be always the best way of doing it. Number 2, if you're playing an O deck, start thinking about by turn 7 or 8 how many blue cards are in your trash. You're playing Lifrith, then you're playing 2 more blockers, then maybe you play a Show Resolve, and then maybe there's a Gundam Link in there. That is exactly 3 if you have the Gundam Link. But if you don't play the Gundam Link and let it die, and you don't play a Show Resolve at some point, you basically have only 1 blue card in your trash. So you're not going to be able to actually reactivate it. You need to start playing cards like Corsica-based Siege Ploys and other blue synergistic cards, or start running blue blockers. like the new blue Zort blocker essentially, until we eventually get a blue Lifrit, and then we'll play that obviously. So unfortunately, it's not exactly perfect, and minus AP doesn't matter. Like, you know, good blocker players are not going to block with their, not going to attack with their units, and they're not going to block these guys anyways. So I really think that Awakened Unicorn also is just not a good card. Like, number one, this thing's trying to attack your opponent's shields for suppression. Suppression is already something that is easy to counter with number one thing, blockers. Number two thing, with the base. Okay, and every single deck in the game has access to a base pretty much. So this guy doesn't get his value out. Number two, this card simply just is when you use a main or action effect, right? Command effect, you can give something -2 AP. So with Unforeseen Incident, you can give something -5. But if you're... So you play this guy, you give them -5, you kill them. They can again just link something and finish this guy off, and it's not a big deal. And then he's gonna die. So like, I'm not too worried about it. Like, Bandager does make him 8 HP, and 8 HP is very big. That's why I like Bandager, and I like the level 8 units that can get to like level 8 HP, because there's very few things in the game that have 8 attack power. Obviously there's a lot of things that can get to 8 attack power through like the means of Iron and Blood, or, you know, any pump spells or abilities, but by themselves they don't have a lot of attack power. Even Wing Zero can only get to 8. So I would not be playing this card in the O deck. And again, if you're going to include him and the pilot, you know, if you're going to include the Unicorn Banshee mode and the pilot in your decks, you have to make space. And I think that's something that people in Gundam keep forgetting. Okay, the decks we have built right now are pretty much as good as we can get them, if you're looking at top tier decks and building them correctly. With a new set coming out, we only got like, again, 2 or 3 cards to add to the deck, maybe, right? Usually only like 1 or 2. If we want to replace a pilot out of the deck, what are we replacing? Gundam, right? Gundam Amuro? Are we replacing the O pilot? Are we replacing Kira out of the deck? No, if everybody agrees that Kira is, you know, I'm not saying me, but everybody else agrees on the internet, and you guys agree that Kira is the best pilot, and then we need to play the O pilot because we're playing the O deck. Then we're going to play Gundam Amuro because we need to, you know, stop them from playing the early game. Then we cannot replace these 3 pilots. They're like some of the best pilots in the game, and they work pretty much with everything, right? Like Amuro and Kira. If we replace one of those pilots with this new Ridhei pilot, whatever, then we need to make a room for that. We cannot just simply add it to the deck. We literally have to rip out our current good deck, take out cards, and put this in and see if our deck got stronger or got worse. I'm going to tell you right now, it probably got worse. Because we're doing literally all we can to beat blockers and beat other decks as well. It's very hard. And we already have to make space for the new white bounce card, right? So it's like already it's going to be very hard to make room for like 10 cards. So I'm not a big fan of unicorns. I was really hoping that these unicorns would be a lot stronger than they were. I was thinking Unicorn Awakened was going to be like crazy because it's Unicorn, and in the show he's like insane, but it really isn't. And then Banshee mode, I was wishing that it would be a lot more better than what it is here. Yeah. It's like Zeta Gundam, attacking twice, whatever. Really wish this card was stronger, but it's not. And if you go through the entire metagame, there's pretty much nobody is playing level 6 units, right? Wing Gundam's the only exception. No deck in the game is playing level 6 units that is like the level 6 is going to win them the game or anything. The closest thing we have is Lupus 4th form, which is like a 2 of or 1 of or 0 ofs, honestly, in some purple decks, depending on the build and stuff. And that's not exactly something that we're like, oh my god, this card's crazy powerful. It's just a card that people are just using because it has a suppression tag, and dies to pretty much everything. And then Freedom Gundam, again, mostly just with the suppression tag, nothing else. And half the time this guy doesn't even have suppression, it's just a blocker. And then again, it just kind of dies being a blocker, and we don't really care about it. No one does. So like level 6 units are pretty much the weakest units in the game by a long shot. So that is where I'm at with, I cannot beat aggro like 89% of the time. Zeong is very powerful. It doesn't matter if I deploy 2 or 3 wing zeros, aggro still kills me because they have more cards than I do. And then going back to the game designer question, that is what I would do first and foremost. That would be my restriction ban announcement, along with Corsica base would not be lowered to 2. It would be straight up banned from the game. And the only exception, like, if normally Bandai sometimes bans things where they're like, hey, you can't play this card with this card. So I'll be like, hey, if you're gonna play Corsica base, you are allowed to play Corsica base if you have Zex and Epion in your deck, or Zex plus a secondary, or a Zex and a Link basically in your deck. Then you're allowed to play that card. Specifically because I think if you're going to be playing Oz, you don't want to hurt your Oz players. Or you just ban it outright, doesn't matter. Freedom with the action, make an EX base seems funny good. Not convinced yet, but definitely fun. So I do like the Financier card to pay 3 as an action or main to get an EX base. It basically just, you know, increases your HP by 1, potentially 2 if your opponent doesn't have 3 AP to kill it. So I very much like that card. It is getting a alt art as well. There's actually quite a lot of alt arts coming out, new ones and for uncommons and other things. So I do like Financier. I will be building a deck with it. I will playtest red white a lot more. It has been doing pretty well, I would say. Overall, I feel like I can sit down, play a game into aggro, and at least have a 50-50 shot at beating them, if not 55 or something, if the luck comes my way. Outside of the Xer, Freedom, I don't really care. I'm not as hyped about the new SD09 Freedom that has suppression. I think it's just okay. Just like 4th form is just okay. But if you're going for a very aggressive beatdown strategy where your cap is around level 6 and you're going to be aggressive with Ail Strike and early game units, then it makes sense to run those level 6 suppression cards and do a lot of damage. It'll be a shorter stream this time, guys. I am quite tired. My bedtime is usually like way earlier. I am 100% dozing off a bit. So go ahead and drop your guys' questions in chat. I appreciate you guys tuning in and watching me talk about all this stuff. I will also send you guys my EX Burst account link so you guys can kind of stay up to date with all my deck lists and check them out for your guys' selves. Where's my coach's link? Here it is. Copy link. I'm going to post it in the chat here. So this is my EX Burst account. Any deck list that you guys see me, you know, talking about on YouTube or building randomly on stream like this or making changes, you can take the link and then go check it out for your guys selves. Check out my other lists as well. I got many lists. If there's not a list on here, you guys can always message me and be like, hey coach, can you build this list, this list, this list? Now some of these lists are just like random things. Some of them are not fully up to date, but it will give you a very good idea about where everything was and is and where you should take it. We've got a bunch of new builds with Minerva zombies, red, white, and then Academy as well. We even have this Mafty deck, which again, all we kind of did was put in the Exia to deal with our opponent's early game units. But the thing I hate about Gundam is the more you try to counter the early game token decks, the worse you get into the blocker or the very heavy control decks. I'm excited for Kairos cards. Do you think a red-green Kairos deck could be a thing? It is definitely a thing for sure. I think I showed it off earlier. It's right here. This is my starting point for testing purposes. I have not tested this yet. I have tested the red-purple version, so go click on the link and check out the red-purple version. That deck actually does have play, and like I was saying earlier, by level 7 you do have Transam online, so it is actually good to use. And unlike some other people on the internet who might be just playing the game to be like, we need to win a regional championship, we need to be the best in the world, because they're delusional or something, that they think that they can just do that. My decks are also, I'm trying to make things work in the way that the deck was designed to work, was supposed to work, or thematically as well, and trying to make it as good as I can until it doesn't work, and then we do what we did with Academy, kind of using it as a small package to try and make Neo Zeong work, which I also need to playtest if that works probably tomorrow. So CB will definitely be a thing, and the main reason why CB will be a thing is because of this card, board wiping aggro, and because of this card slowing aggro down. And then that's kind of it. And then obviously Gundam Kairos. If you are a huge CB fan, you know, pick up Gundam Kairos now so that you can start destroying your opponent's tokens in the upcoming GD04 set. If this becomes a very relevant thing, then and token become extremely relevant, this card might go up in price, the altar, to like, you know, the moon essentially. I'm trying to rotate a third deck in for my store tournaments. Right now I run green white, red green clan. Any suggestions for me with GD04 coming out? You run green white wing, red green clan. Those are both decks I play. I would highly suggest if you like the blocker aspect or the control aspect of wing, you pick up playing the O. The O deck is actually genuinely very fun to play because it is not just a I'm gonna blocker wall you and then play show resolves to, you know, run you out of cards while I have all the cards in the world. It is actually going to proactively destroy your opponent once you get the O on the board. Once you have the O on the board, it's go time. It's time to destroy your opponent's units and choke your opponent out of the game, and then basically kill them in one swing. By like level 10 or level 11, you pretty much kill your opponent. You don't just sit back and run your opponent out of cards going to turn 16. Besides that, the other deck that I think that every single person in GD04 should play Minerva Squad, especially if you guys already bought STO9. Then you guys should 100% play Minerva Squad, because that deck plays just like Clan, or feels very like in tune with what it's trying to do and having some pieces. And it's overall a good deck that can go late game against other blockers and you'll have a good time, like Clan. I've been testing the red-green CB deck and it's actually pretty strong. I've taken out Blurple with it. The problem currently is that it lacks 2/2 that are CB trait. Well, we're not going to get more 2/2s that are CB trait, but I hope we never do. But again, if aggro is still the #1 deck in the game when GD04 comes out, in the first tournament and so on, it's gonna stay that way. And if you guys want to know why, again, I talked about it like 10 minutes ago, but you guys can also go check out Garrett's video right here, and he explains some of it in his video, talking about that it's a fundamental problem with the game. Banning all these cards will do nothing, and I agree. You know, I've been saying that too. It's a fundamental flaw with the game design, like of shields and how fast you can play GMs and how your shields die to 1 AP units. And there's a lot of comeback mechanics in Gundam, and also all the aggro decks have 1 million cards and have more cards than you no matter what you're playing. So yeah, purple white impulse is something most fun I've had white in this game. with white. Can't wait for Destiny to release. Yes, I hope you're not going to be disappointed by Destiny. Destiny is a awesome looking LR, and it's a cool Gundam. I did talk about it in the last stream. If you guys go check out my last stream, if you guys have not already, I talk about quite a bit of things in that stream. In the very first stream, I deck build. The second stream, I come back and talk to you guys about what worked, what didn't work, and what changes we're making. And we also build the CB deck, I believe, live on stream. The first stream we built Academy, and then we built like red, white, wing, some other cards, whatever, some other decks. And then the second stream we kind of just talked a lot about Academy and stuff, and then we built the CB decks there. I actually structure the version I play more of a rush style. I have 7 Zaku 2s, 2 generics, BQ, and Versilius to boost attack. Also have maxed out close combat, improved technique to burst ping aggro. Yes, you can obviously play a lot of heavy ping cards. You know, my burst style decks are always really solid into aggro decks, especially to punish them and help us out with card advantage. But as soon as you start adding in, you know, Zaku 2s and 2-2s and BQs, again, if you're just going to play an aggro deck, then you're going to win because you're playing aggro. If you're going to play L-Strike Kira stuff, some of the times you're just going to win because you go L-Strike Link, bounce your guys, swing, swing, swing. L-Strike Link, bounce your guys, swing, swing, swing. And you'll win. Alright, doesn't look like there's many more questions in the chat, and the chat is not moving like crazy right now. I also want to play an Epion deck for fun. I think Epion still has some play. People are still playtesting it and very much enjoying it in the current format. Whether it's the best deck or not is irrelevant. Yeah. So I'm going to tune out because my eyes are literally closing as I'm talking. Because it is my bedtime. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Again, if you guys want coaching, reach out to me on Discord at Coach SK. Or sorry, not Coach SK, Coach Wing Zero. Okay, Coach Wing Zero is my thing. Have I talked about Turn A Gundam on stream? I have not talked about Turn A Gundam. I will talk about it right now for you, Carlos. I do not care about Turn A Gundam. So yeah, I think Turn A Gundam is not a very good card. Like, it's good for what his ability is, and like, yeah, it's a good card, cool, it does a cool thing, but it's not game breaking. It's not what people should be like, oh my god, this card's insane, it's crazy. I don't believe that at all until we start getting a lot more ways and support for Turn A Gundam. I think Turn A Gundam is, again, just like the Z Gundam where it reduces level. Turn A Gundam is like with the first card that says I can copycat some key ability from the trash, right? And most of the time, even if you can copy things from your opponent's trash now, it doesn't matter because suppression is a thing that we can already kind of like protect against all the time. Blocker is a keyword that is basically whatever. And the thing about the Turn A Gundam is that it does not win you the game by itself, okay? But there's a lot of other level 6s, like Shenlong's level 5, but Shenlong is very strong, Side Gundam's still strong, Wing Gundam's strong, Death Scythe has first strike. There's so many other level 6 cards that destroy your opponent's board, that generate you a lot of card value, that have repair or something. They're doing something, right? And they're a lot better than Turn A Gundam. Turn A Gundam is just getting a keyword, which who cares? Even if I gave you, like, if Turn A Gundam, you said, okay, let's delete its ability. I want you to pick 3 keywords that it always has, and then you ask yourself, is Turn A Gundam still like very good? Or maybe it says you can just give it a keyword. You don't even need the thing from trash. Just give it a keyword, whatever the hell ability you want. Okay, it's still not good enough, right? Gaining blockers, okay, who cares? You can play blockers if you want blockers. Whatever your deck wants to have in the deck, you are going to, instead of playing Turn A Gundam, you are going to literally take Tornado Gundam out of your deck and then play something else instead that already has that keyword to begin with, whether it's suppression, blocker, or whatever, repair, etc. In my next deck, I'll watch your video on red CB. My deck has 4 1-ofs. I'm just testing right now. So far, red green CB is something that I've been waiting for. Yes, a new Trinity 5/2 HP Trinity card to play into charge aggro. Yes, it really helps with aggro, and I really like that card. Hopefully, we get an altar for it. Probably not going to, but it's really nice. Yeah, so Tornado Gundam, I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm not overhyped about it. I just think the card is like, okay, you get an ability, so what? I don't care. You could literally deploy, you know, anything they can do with Tornado Gundam. They could have just played a suppression unit, a repair unit, a blocker unit on the same turn, and there's no cards in the game that are like, oh my god, I'm about to lose. Oh my god, this card's insane by like level 6, right? Ale Strike is one of the most powerful cards, and it bounces something and can attack. Then level 6 is basically Wing Gundam because it comes in, attacks the standing unit and breaches. Like, besides that, what more do you want, right? Those are some of the best cards in the game at level 6. We don't really need more than that. And getting a keyword, none of those keywords are going to break the game, and suppression is basically the strongest one. And again, it's probably not going to help us. All right, so let me show you guys. So if you guys want coaching, reach out to me, you know, at Coach Wing 0 is my Discord name. Just add me as a friend. I'm going to be going to sleep soon, but I reply to everybody quickly. Testimonials, if you guys have not seen my testimonials, here's a bunch. You guys can slow this down, read through them, whatever you guys want. There's a bunch. They're in most of my YouTube videos. I have not been uploading YouTube videos right now because I've been mostly coaching a bunch, and I've been coaching multiple games as well in GD04 testing. So I've been just making sure that when I make a video, it's going to be like a deck, and I've been doing these live streams instead, basically, to hang out with you guys and get, you know, you guys can talk to me directly. And then we have like accomplishments down here where a bunch of people are winning lock-ons 24/7 and new types and topping with a bunch of Kiras and having a really good time, doing a lot of wins, as you guys saw from my shorts and my other videos. We got everybody, you know, having a good time. All of my clients doing really well, whether they're brand new or not. They're doing really well. A lot of these people have gotten coached by me for like a month and improved their win rate. Like Donut Wheel, he got coached by me, and then that little weekend he won 2 Kira Freedoms. You know, Yardbird, same thing. What got second place, barely losing to the first place guy. And then, you know, Mirage has been with me for a while. And some of these clients I have are OG Yu-Gi-Oh players, Magic players, some YCS players. So even if you're brand new to the game, if you're a completely OG player from Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh, I coach all levels. And I also coach other games like Warhammer 40k and League of Legends and stuff. So I'm a coach first, then other stuff. So I will see you guys next time. Peace out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream. I'll be doing another one again. Maybe I'm probably gonna do gameplay streams as well, guys. If you guys don't mind proxies, let me know in the comment section if you guys got this far. If you guys care if I do gameplay with like proxies where I'm using a Talgeese as an Ale Strike or not, I can 100% play on stream with my proxy decks. I also have other decks, but for testing purposes in GD04, I have to proxy a lot of cards for that. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Coach is out.